Good evening to you and dear viewers. Of course, with the extension till 18th of February, I think everything will go as planned, as it was before. Israel will not withdraw from any of the villages. Except after handing over to the Lebanese troops, as they have stated by the government. There are still weapons and arms in the villages they are present in, affiliated with Hezbollah. Either this is true or not, we know that Israel always holds back on international resolutions, and especially that we're aware for Lebanon, the Prime Minister Najib Mikati approved the extension till the 18th regarding the ceasefire agreement. I think Lebanon has no other way but to comply with the resolution as agreed upon. I think this is very natural, and we know that Lebanon is also be delaying the deployment of the Lebanese army due to the destruction that the Israeli troops have left behind. All the villages that Israel withdrew from are very difficult to deploy the Lebanese army to dismantle the mines that has not exploded yet. So it's difficult to deploy the Lebanese army troops in the abandoned villages to clean up each village, and I think it's very natural, but I think if the formation of the Lebanese government was taken in a faster pace, we wouldn't have reached this point right now, because the Shia faction is pressuring the Lebanese government and authority to send the Lebanese troops to confront the Israeli troops and also are applying pressures regarding the formation of the government, which is really difficult at the moment, because not either the international community would have the confrontation between the two troops or the Arab world, and we are very committed to the ceasefire agreement, including the formation of the government before the Israeli withdrawal. President Aoun have stressed that more than once yesterday there were demonstrations all over Beirut. They were provoked by Hezbollah, and they were using motorcycles, and there were some kinds of provocations to the people of Lebanon. I think Hezbollah should more be keen on the common interests of the Lebanese states.
Okay, well, let me bring in General Khalid. Thank you for being here with us. How do you assess the military situation on the ground in southern Lebanon? Will the Lebanese army be ready to fully deploy by the end of this extension to the ceasefire? And also, what are the obstacles caused by the IOF's continued presence?
Good evening, good afternoon. The scene we have seen yesterday should be read very carefully. It's not about the withdrawal of the Israeli troops from one side and the deployment of the Lebanese army from the other. I don't think this is the issue that prompted the violations committed by Israel during the 60 days. There might be some elements to this scene that are not mentioned in the media, and they might require more discussion through the Committee of the Ceasefire Monitoring. Since the beginning of these 60 days, it was very obvious that there is no time frame for the Israeli troops to withdrawal and no time frame for the Lebanese army deployment, and what are the measures to be taken in this occupied territory, and what are kind of weapons to be used, what kind of weapons to be seized, and what are the fate of these weapons. All of these questions are what led to our situation today. Now Israel says that what Lebanese is doing is not enough, and there are still Hezbollah infrastructure that are not cleansed yet. Another means the procedures taken so far are not enough. So the non-withdrawal of Israel is not due to technical Israeli reasons, it's due to US reasons. Israel is not able to rebel against this resolution without the approval of the United States, which shall be discussed in detail by the ceasefire committee or in another framework. Today there was a new date set, the 18th of February. The question is, will Israel actually withdraw in this date, in this time frame? Will the obstacles stated by Israel be gone by this time? Who is going to supervise or who's going to guarantee the accomplishment of all of this? Now the Lebanese population, who are prompted by Hezbollah to go back to their occupied land, are still standing by the entrances of these villages. They are still getting injured and killed by the Israeli forces. Till when shall we watch these scenes? This is what affirms that somewhere there is a lack of control over this territory, whether by the Israeli troops, who is insistent on not withdrawing, and the 18th of February might not be the final deadline if Israel does not report to the Lebanese army that there are enough reasons now for them to be deployed. They should agree on a set time frame that to be committed for all parties to commit with. Otherwise, we will witness more dramatic changes. The US stated that the ceasefire agreement might not be very feasible, and we shall look for another mechanism or issue another resolution which will get Lebanon into the unknown and will expose the southern Lebanon area to a new scenario that might reflect more destruction. That's why I think it's not as simple as some people think, that Israel is committing violations while the Lebanese army was ready to be deployed. I think that the Israeli troops, and not stated by the ceasefire committee, that the both sides are not ready for the accomplishment of this agreement.
And to you, Mr. Neymar, what role do you think the US-led monitoring committee is playing in enforcing this ceasefire? And would you think it's been effective so far?
At first, I agree with General Khalid. Everything he said was correct 100% regarding the deployment and withdrawal issues. Now we're all aware that the resolution 1701 and the ceasefire agreement, the sponsor was the United States of America, and the committee of five, on top of which General of the United States of America. I think it is the entity responsible for the agreement, and it should be the guarantor of this agreement. But we are aware that when the Shia and party and the Lebanese state adopted the resolution 1701, there were items and conditions to this agreement, including electing a new president, a new prime minister, to not be controlled by Hezbollah. So far, we're not able to form a government. And what happened to Nawaf Salam and President Aoun to by Hezbollah to take over the Lebanese government, to gain more seats, to have the Ministry of Finance. These pressures will not be allowed by the international community, either the USA or the Arab world. It's clear if there is a government, there is reconstruction and there is withdrawal. If there is no government, there will be no reconstruction or withdrawal. The missing thing here is the formation of a new government, and before on the last Thursday and Friday, we received the ministers of foreign affairs of Kuwait and Saudi Arabia and requested Nawaf Salam to form a government, even if regardless of the Shia faction, they needed a unbiased government to go forward with the agreement. Right now, we only need a harmonized government accepted by the Lebanese army, the Lebanese population. They need to build a state. And if we still these internal disagreements and the disagreements between all political factions, we will still face all kinds of challenges. If we have an agreement upon this government, we will see the withdrawal happening. We need, even if it's a temporary government, otherwise we will have challenges with Israeli troops, and I call upon all parties to go forward with the government formation, because I think the United States of America and the Committee of Five are able to apply pressure to get things going and to form the government as soon as possible. I think once this issue is solved, we will have all other issues solved. This 20-day framework, we can have a new government formed.
And coming to you, General Khalid, Mr. Nema said that there was problems with the inability to form a new government, but with the ceasefire in place, the extension to the ceasefire in place, and with the new president, is Lebanon going through a more stable time right now?
With the few weeks after the electing a new president, now the problems with forming a new government and distributing ministries is now on the surface again. I think that any new government shall commit to its ministerial statement to achieve and commit to the resolution 1701, all the ministerial statements provided by the government since 2006, since the adoption of 1701 resolution for the first time. They were always seeking the true achievement, not the true achievement of the resolution, which led to the growth of Hezbollah and more border problems and more terrorism in Lebanon, and it ended with the war that destroyed Lebanon. Of course, the matter of the president is highly important, but the executive authority lies in the government. The government the government before was under Hezbollah authority, and therefore it cannot be trusted to adopt the 1701 resolution. The new government will be the defining moment between a previous period and an upcoming period. Of course, it's complicated. Yesterday we had the Hezbollah call to populations to go and exceed the Lebanese army barriers, and which resulted in a lot of death and injured in Beirut and many other villages in southern Lebanon and in the capital. Now we're exposed to attacks by Hezbollah, by demonstrations or vehicles such as motorcycles, firing guns and provoking citizens. All of this is evidence that Resolution 1701 shall be adopted, as Hezbollah yesterday portrayed a scene with no respect to the constitution or the state, insisting on the hostilities with the constitution. All of this will be ended by the formation of the new government, which will face a challenge to sign a decree to not be affiliated to any political parties that are at least affiliated with Hezbollah. With all of this provocative history they have with Lebanon, it will get further complicated without the government. Israel will not withdraw, and they will continue the military operations, which will lead to exploding the borders once more, going back to war and the bombing of the southern villages. Lebanon now is facing a defining moment which requires a solution, an extraordinary solution, one that has not been adopted before since 2006 until now.
And Mr. Nema, the United Nations has condemned Israel for firing on civilians and failing to fully withdraw. What role does the international community, especially the US and France, play in ensuring Israel honors the ceasefire deal?
Of course, the United Nations would condemn Israel because the non-withdrawal from southern Lebanon is a violation to the 1701 resolution and the ceasefire agreement. So it's natural that they know UN condemns Israel. Lebanon also is not fully committing to the deal. So we in Lebanon, the Shia entity should acknowledge that we have been we received the defeat by Israel. By signing this agreement, we took the defeat. They acknowledge that we do not have the same power as Israel to confront them. Lebanon was destroyed, entire villages were destroyed. We need to build a state all together, unified. If Hezbollah continues dealing in the same way, going to Beirut, provoking the population and firing guns, terrorizing safe population, those people will turn against them. Those people who gave them food and shelter and stood by their side, they only provoke those people, the ones who helped them and supported them. They are taking the country to further challenges and problems. The international community today is pressuring Lebanon and the president personally because he cares about the interest of the state.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you there. I'm sorry, Mr. Nema, but I just wanted to bring General Khaled in one more time before we run out of time. If you were to look into the future and predict the future, General, what do you think the chances are of the ceasefire fully holding until February?
There is a lot of potential. I think since this moment from the 27th of January today, which was the set deadline for the Israeli withdrawal, until the 18th of February, Israel will keep bombing all the Hezbollah infrastructure in all the remaining villages in southern Lebanon. The issue now is how serious are they to fill all the gaps by the committee and not letting everything accumulate till the 18th of February. The potential for a real ceasefire is conditional to the Israeli commitment and the Lebanese commitment. The Israeli commitment will be guaranteed by two things. One, the true Lebanese commitment to the 1701 resolution and not going back to 2006. The second point is the diplomatic follow-up by the United States, the France, the international community, the Arab world, to fill all the gaps that might arise during this time frame. The Lebanese performance must be more serious and more accountable, and that cannot be achieved without forming a new government, which will be the title of success that might take Lebanon to a true, comprehensive, clear ceasefire and to the demarcation of borders and ending the disagreements regarding borders.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed. Thank you so much, General Khaled Hamada, who is a strategic military expert, and Abdullah Nema, the political analyst. Thank you both very much for being here